Hey Alice, welcome back. You're here at a momentous occasion. To my left, I have Mr. Seth Lake. That's Raton Lavore on social medias.
Mhm.
You have a new song coming out, Ironwood,
Yeah.
out now.
Yes. Yes. I'm very, very excited about it. It's been a long process. It's been written and for the most part recorded for almost 8 years at
Mm.
this point, maybe seven. But yeah, so it's just changed hands a lot and it's finally done and ready to be out. So
That's
I'm very
awesome.
excited. Yeah.
And we also have Mr. David Pena, that's Knife Back on Instagram,
Mhm.
visual artist, co-host of the show, did all of the paintings behind us here. Um,
Oh, this way. Oh, lovely.
But
Um,
yeah, I'm glad we were able to do this. It's been cold outside and the roads have been shit. So
yeah.
the stars aligned this evening.
Yes. Yes.
8 years is a long production hell
It
to
is.
be in.
Like
Yes.
what was the biggest delay or like
The biggest delay was um, we had the idea. We were just about to put out an album
Mhm.
in 2018, and two of the members ended up leaving Nashville. There were only three of us, and the other two members ended up leaving Nashville. So we tried recording uh, all in our different states, um, and actually different parts of the world too. And
Whoa.
yeah, our drummer's from Venezuela, um,
Oh.
and so we got all the guitars recorded. I got all the guitars recorded in Indiana, and that's a fun little story that I'll come back to. But and then the drums were recorded in Venezuela, and then the bass was recorded between Nashville and Indiana, and then the vocals were recorded in Nashville. Um, and then because we were all separated, and then COVID hit, kind of right around the time that we were like getting some momentum with recording it.
Mhm.
Um, COVID hit and kind of just like threw everybody off. And so we never got to be, we were always very particular about being in the same place when it came to like mixing and mastering and doing all the final touches. And we could never get it just right. So we kept kind of just like throwing it around between different engineers, different studios, different producers. And yeah, it just took a while. And we didn't really want to like, at the time, we didn't want to release anything without being able to play shows to keep the momentum going. So we kind of ended up, because there's a whole lot of songs that come after Ironwood that we recorded at the same time. Um, and we kind of just, it was mostly me. I kind of didn't want to like put a bunch of music out and then just not do anything.
Mm,
So we kind of just sat on it for a while and we were kind of trying to wait until the dust settled, so to
Yeah.
speak, and it just never settled. So eventually, with their blessing, I was like, this has to be done.
mm.
We just have to put it out, and they're like, go for it. So yeah, it was kind of a lot of back and forth of trying to decide, do we want to put it out when we're not all together?
Gotcha.
And eventually it just came down to like, we all needed to move forward with our other projects. So we just decided like, okay, now is the time. And they gave me their blessing to like bring new people on to play as well. So, and change the name because it was a different name before. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
With that long of a development and like all the other challenges, like y'all being separated, it would be easy for it to just be lost to history, you know. So I'm really glad that it's seeing the light of day.
yeah, yeah.
We were listening to it earlier, and I fucking great, man. It
Thank you.
sounds so
Thank you.
good. But David made a comment.
Oh, okay.
Basically,
We were talking about
oh,
Catholics.
we,
We were talking about the spaghetti monster
Uh-huh.
yeah,
and how the spaghetti monster came here, the Italians would eat him. But it was also a joke because they're Catholic and Catholics, eating the body of Christ,
Mm-hmm,
whatever.
mm-hmm.
And then immediately after that conversation, we started playing your song. And like I really like the intro. Like it's very like almost religious, like atmospheric,
yeah.
whatever. And I said, "Oh, this is like God eating music right here."
And I was like, that's fucking great. This is God eating music. This is music to eat God to.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because these songs, we were so pop punk oriented, like very close to, like, most people compared us to like Coheed and Cambria with our first album.
Mm-hmm.
And when I wrote these songs, a friend actually said something along the lines of, "It sounds like Seth like went through some real shit
Mm.
and his songwriting matured." So it definitely has a more of like it's kind of sheds some of like a bit of the high school influence, and definitely took on more of like I want to write something that, like, makes somebody
Yeah.
feel like something like, oh, this is God eating music,
Yeah.
like
It to me it's very like an anthem, like almost like a sea chanty.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yes,
Breaking my bones in the ironwood.
yes. There's a lot of because there's a lot of Hans Zimmer influence
Mm.
in a lot of how I uh a lot of the structures and a lot of the melodies. And so, of course, for me, Pirates of the Caribbean is a really big influence on riffs and melodies.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that in there
Yeah,
for
Alex,
sure.
Alex
Yes.
definitely picked up on that aspect.
It's a unique sound. Like, I didn't hear your first album, but it I imagine it's unique from that, like you've described, but also like I just because it definitely has like that pop punk influence
Mhm.
still,
Mhm.
but it is like not like you wouldn't put it in on that shelf like, oh, if you like pop punk, you like this necessarily. Like it's weird. It's
Yeah.
very weird.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Because we get the question, when friends, find out that like I'm finally putting something out. Like, what style of music is it? I'm like, your guess is as good as mine at this
Yeah.
point, like, just because, yeah, there are so many different influences mixed in that bag.
Yeah, and weird combinations that I haven't seen people do before.
That's so great to hear. I love that.
Yeah, I can't wait for people to hear what you're doing, and I can't wait to hear more of the songs.
Yeah, yeah, yep. There's a few more following it, and then uh at least because Ironwood is going to be part of an EP.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that EP is done, there's another um, small batch of songs that'll be following it up.
Oh shit.
Um,
Okay.
Not sure when, but I've got a lot of material in the chamber at this point,
Nice.
which is great.
And by the chamber, it's like most of the songs, like done itself, it's mostly like mastering or like.
It's mostly like it's still in the writing process.
Oh, still in the writing. Okay.
But I would say for the first time in a long time, I'm very sure of the attitude that I want, because two of my all-time favorite artists are Jack White and Hans Zimmer, and they both say the same thing: is attitude is all of it.
Yeah.
It's so important to know what your attitude is, and when you perform live and when you sing, you want the crowd or the listener to believe you. And so if you're faking an attitude that doesn't come naturally to you, people are going to have a harder time believing it, and they're not going to connect quite as well. But so being sure of your attitude about what you're saying, how you say it, or how you sing it,
Yeah.
how you play it, there's this subconscious connection that listeners, they're just like, I believe this, whatever it is, even if I don't understand the words, the way this person is singing, I believe that they're singing it from a genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like trust.
Yes,
I trust that this person is saying believes what they're saying.
exactly. And that's such, I would say, such an important aspect of any art.
Oh yeah.
And you also have to trust them as well, to be like, hey, this is a vulnerable part of me that I'm sharing with you, and I'm trusting you with it. And that, yeah, I think that connection, being able to, your art is an extension of who you are
over years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because because
yeah.
AI can easily, like, you can just feed it, oh, I want you to make a piece of art that's part this artist, or whatever, and it can just spit out any junk, but
Right.
it doesn't have that honesty.
Yes.
Like with your inspirations, like the ones you mentioned, like Jack White, like that's like years of you actually listening to them and being inspired. Like you're not trying to copy them. You're like
Mhm.
it's literally part of like your
Yeah.
brain that you're like putting out there or
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is like so true of just any form of art is like I can't really give um I can't trust. Like I don't believe that this is a genuine expression.
Mhm.
Like when like commercial pop music is like that,
Mhm.
where it's like yeah, on paper this is a good song, but it doesn't have it's this void of soul.
Mhm.
And it, you know, success with that kind of stuff is very artificial. Like, so it's like, well, it's trending on charts or whatever is like, yeah, but they also paid for that to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I like this. Well said. Being authentic
Mhm. Yeah.
is super crucial to art.
Yeah. And you know, little shout out to Hussy Fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played in Hussy Fit for a couple years, and Cordy and I talked a lot about, you know, a lot of Hussy Fit's success in the DIY community and out of state, you know, like the festivals that we did. Um, the draw and the attraction, I think, to Hussy Fit was that Cordy is so unapologetically herself.
I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Is it's like heart on your sleeve, kind of just like raw,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And people
And
believe her.
yes, yeah. And it's kind of like you know, anytime you make art, like that I'm that's a really big focus of mine too, is like vulnerability, you know, and like we talk about trauma and like stuff on this show. Um and the thing is like, you know, that's gonna turn people away too sometimes.
Mhm.
But I would say even if you don't like it, you trust it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's like even if like, you know, your music's not for everyone or Hussy Fit's not for everyone, or Rabbit Hole's not for everyone. It's like, well, I don't think they're lying. Like I
Right.
trust this
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and you know that's the thing is that like art is meant to be a variety, and listeners are meant to be a variety. You know, it's what makes the world of art so colorful is that there's something for everybody.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And I feel like if everybody did like your music, just like flat out liked it, I would say that you're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not really striking a chord specific enough.
Hmm.
Some people, or maybe it's just too, I don't want to say bland, but I think that having just as many people not like your music as you do people that do like your music, I think is really important because that's diversity in art.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, art is challenging. It's
Yeah.
not supposed to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it's like especially if it's like based on a challenging experience,
Mhm.
that may not resonate with everyone because they haven't had those experiences,
Right.
but it'll hit really hard with the people that do. It's like, okay,
Mhm.
I don't feel so
Yeah.
unseen.
Yeah. And it makes it more meaningful,
Yeah.
you know, when you do have like a specific crowd that you're reaching, you know, all people that are kind of cut from the same cloth, that have the same philosophies or same traumas or whatever, you know, like it becomes a community of people that are like-minded and feel like they belong somewhere.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a real artist, man. It's like, you know, I like some people are trying to, I don't know, like blow up commercially.
Mhm.
And it's like, that's not, if you're trying to make money, like go do anything else.
Mhm.
Like
Oh yeah.
you're gonna have a much easier time making money doing literally anything.
Mhm.
But it's like you shouldn't be trying to do that in the first place because it's not genuine and it's also just a bad idea, like it's
Mhm.
bad strategy.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's something I've always appreciated about you is you're a very real artist.
Thank
And
you.
I'm so excited to be hearing you release stuff.
Me too. Me too, man. Great, man.
What's Ironwood about?
So Ironwood is one of what was originally 8 parts, 8 songs. Um, and it started in 2017.
Mhm.
And as most artists are inspired, it was inspired by a breakup. And so the first thing I wrote about was that feeling of the first day that you wake up. Well, there's 2 things Ironwood is about, but the main thing was where the initial like um, lyrical content, where what it's anchored in, anyways, is the first day of waking up after the end of a long-term relationship, and you feel disoriented, and you're just kind of like, I don't know what to do because the last however many years of my life, there was somebody there with me, and I made all my decisions kind of alongside this person. And then you wake up one day and you're just like, I don't know what to do. And so the whole song is kind of about waking up and being disoriented. And there's a story that goes with all the songs. And that may come out at some point down the road, but there is a book that is about 2 chapters away from being done.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've been writing the book for as long as I've been working on these
Wow.
songs. So a good 7 years of kind of going back and forth with it, doing revisions. It's not very long, but it did require me to go back through it multiple times and revise things. But essentially, 6 months from the breakup, I moved to Detroit, Michigan. So those 6 months is what the the whole album is called Feathers and Celeste. And that'll be, on the name of the EP and everything. And it was about the 6 months from, I'd lived in Nashville for a long time and I was about to move to a different city for the first time. And a lot of things happened in those 6 months. And there's a lot of lyrics in Ironwood about, other people trying to impress their opinions on how to deal with this situation and stuff like that, and in the other songs. But Ironwood specifically is about that feeling of waking up. My eyes are opening to canopies of green, silver pillars go for miles on the white that's in between. That was that waking up and being like, I don't know where to go. Like, I don't know which direction to go. There's no direction when you're walking in the dark. I can't even remember my own lyrics, but I mean, even just that lyric, there's no direction when you're walking in the dark. And that's kind of what it feels like, coming out of a long-term relationship. It's like, I feel like I'm walking in the dark and I have no direction. So it is anchored in a pretty common, I don't want to say stereotypical of an artist, but it is anchored in a very universal feeling. But the story came about because I didn't want to just sing about being heartbroken.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like, I mean, there are a lot of, you were talking about post-punk earlier. There's a lot of post-punk songs where it just sounds whiny, but it doesn't have that, like, it doesn't sound whiny.
Yeah. And honestly, the lyrics, breaking my bones on the ironwood, wiping my blood on the ironwood, that just sounded cool. So there's not a lot of symbolism in there. That's subjective. That's up to the listener.
Yeah.
That just sounded cool. So I used it.
But it still adds on to, like, you had this breakup, but you're not, I don't know how to explain it. Like, there's still like this, not hope exactly, but like you're not completely defeated per se. Like, you're lost.
Yeah.
Which is normal. Like, obviously you're lost. Like you said, it's been like, you've been with this person for so many years, but like, I just get the sense that you're lost, but you're not just simply going to sit there and do nothing or whatever.
Yeah, it feels like adventure, like new horizons. Like it's not it's like this is hard, but you get up and like carpe diem, like yeah.
Yeah. And you know, when the book sees the light of day, which I have every intention of at least releasing it, whether it's a blog format or whatever, or I've even thought about an audiobook.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I gotta find somebody with a really cool voice.
Or read it yourself, man. Hey, listen. We were just talking about like raw and genuine.
Yeah.
It from your voice, like, I mean, you know,
you might
or
be
get it
right. You might be right.
He
here,
might be
though.
right.
You might be right.
Hey, do both. Do it.
Yeah.
And then if you don't like it, then yeah.
I would personally just hate if I did this. I would hate hearing my own voice in an audio book format. I don't know.
Oh, you're gonna hate it no matter what.
Yeah.
Just do it and let other people test it out, see what people think. You know.
Yeah. I feel like, and this is a silly way to put it, but I feel like I'd be more open to me doing it now
Than before.
than when I first started writing it, because there's been a lot of packs of cigarettes smoked between now and then. And so my voice does have a little bit of a lower timbre than it used to.
Yeah.
So I feel like I might be okay.
Hell yeah, dude, do it. I mean, those are some of my favorite audiobooks, is ones read by the author, you know, like, yeah.
And you know, it's funny. There was something, you know, I did a rehearsal with one of the guys that are going to be playing with me a few weeks ago. And I also noticed that since I've recorded the vocals, I have done the White Stripes tribute band that I did for a while. And I also started learning different ways of singing. And when we did the rehearsal, I noticed that I sing a lot differently now than I did when we recorded Ironwood. And so that is something that at first I was nervous about. And then we did the rehearsal and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to run with it.
Hell yeah.
You know, because it is a lot different. You know, being so influenced by bands like Coheed and Cambria at the time that I started this, just the band in general, it was all higher vocals, clean vocals. And then doing the White Stripes tribute band, learning to do some of Jack White's more raspy screams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of found a lot of different ways to sing and have since adapted them to how I sing now. So I'm really excited to do more music from here forward, with almost like feeling more like me when I sing. And I think that is something that doesn't hinder a lot of bands, but you have to know who you are when you're singing, and you have to know that goes back to like the attitude, making people believe you. Is like, for the longest time I was trying to sing like Claudio from Coheed and Cambria, and then slowly started finding my own voice, and that honestly has made me more excited to write new music, because I don't feel like I'm mimicking anybody.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that, because that was another thing I said when I put the song on. I was like, Coheed.
Absolutely.
He did say that.
Yeah.
And I fucking love Coheed and Cambria. They're one of my favorites. But and also like the style of not just your vocals, the storytelling. Like, it's kind of like, I didn't know it was a concept record, but it makes a lot of sense you saying that.
Yeah. And I wanted it to balance between it, you know, to where it's like you wouldn't know, but you also just didn't have to know. You know what I mean?
It stands on its own.
Yeah. What kind of music did your parents listen to when you were a kid?
So when I was a kid, my dad listened to a lot of oldies and a lot of like 90s country.
Ooh.
But I was more influenced. Like, my mom listened to a lot of John Denver, a lot of James Taylor, but then also growing up in a Christian household, the first music that I really latched onto, I would say was, and this cracks people up when I tell them this, because I'm surprised not a lot of people know about this. It's Christian ska. So
That's interesting.
there were bands like The Insiders, OC Supertones, Five Iron Frenzy, and then MXPX was more punk, but MXPX kind of sat in that genre for a while too. And by the time I got to high school, I started playing guitar when I got into high school, and I developed a massive love for classic rock, mainly Van Halen and Led Zeppelin. And then I would say, though, what shifted everything was when my oldest sibling gave me and my brother a copy of The Moon and Antarctica by Modest Mouse.
When was that? Around what age?
I would have been probably 16 or 17 when they gave us that album, and changed everything I thought about music. I stopped trying to be like the fastest guitarist in the world. I stopped trying to be like Eddie Van Halen. I was like, I gotta write. I have to write. But oldies, specifically from my dad, listening to bands like artists like Gladys Knight and the Pips, the Monkees, the Beatles, a lot of Motown. The Temptations were really big for me.
Nice.
I went through a massive Michael Jackson phase. I went through a massive Kiss phase. But
that's like a diverse amount of really good music.
Yeah. And the first like secular rock band outside of Christian music was the White Stripes. And that was the first time I heard feedback on a guitar, was Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground right at the beginning of White Blood Cells. Just he kicks on the fuzz pedal and goes, I was like, what is that? So the White Stripes were very early in the coming out of only listening to Christian music. The White Stripes were kind of the first thing, other than, oldies that was just on the radio.
Like an interesting note I'm gonna make that I just noticed. So you mentioned when it came to you actually playing music or guitar, whatever, you were first inspired by classic rock music. And something I've always compared in my head, like classic rock is like very similar to like classic paintings or classic like art in general. Classic art was, the whole point is we're trying to like, how technically good can we get art to be?
Right. Just
like how technically fast can we get, how technically whatever. But then that gets boring at a point.
It does.
And then you realize when you listen to Modest Mouse that it's not just about being like the most technical artist. It's about like, how can I actually express myself in my specific way? And there's more value in that than like just being the fastest or being
the Tom Waits was a great example for that for me too. A friend turned me on to the album Swordfish Trombones, and it was the messiest album I'd ever heard. But his storytelling was beautiful.
So what you're saying reminds me, one of my favorite bands is Melvins. And they're like so slow. And that's what I love so much about them, is it's like they just really take their time. They're in no kind of hurry. And it's just, that makes it so much heavier. Like it's like, oh, that's nasty. Like to me, Melvins is way heavier than a lot of like the like black metal I listen to is like grindcore stuff is like, that's obviously super heavy, but like the nasty sludge, like just disgusting bass riffs that Melvins do. I'm like, I've said before, Melvins is the final boss of bands.
And you mentioned black metal. Like I got really into Norwegian black metal for a while because of how poor the recordings were.
Very lo-fi,
with the visual of like the cover, like the very poorly taken photos, and like that spoke to me so much to where it's like it became its own type of art. Like I'm so into Burzum, and Dark Throne and Mayhem, like the big three, as I like to think of them, and yeah, there was something about, because I don't listen to a lot of metal just in general, but for some reason, black metal, I was like, oh, that is something all on its own.
Yeah.
And, and some black metal, especially like the 90s stuff, there's some songs where they take the time, just it's almost doomy,
Yeah.
But then there's the and yeah, there was just something about that to where it's just its own thing.
Yeah, it is kind of like it's in its own little pocket. Yeah. What kind of denomination Christian were you raised?
Non-denominational.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like I'm very, very fortunate to have had a good experience with the type of Christians I was raised around. Being a non-denominational church, there was not a lot of talk about what you should stay away from. There was more talk about how you should treat people. And I would say that because I have a lot of friends that, left Christianity for good reasons, reasons that I respect. And I still have my personal beliefs and faith, the way it for what it means to me. But growing up in a non-denominational church and seeing a type of Christian that I feel like not a lot of people do. I grew up in a small town, so like there were no like big mega churches or anything like that, and it was very diverse, and it was very open, and it was very loving, and I'm very, very fortunate to have experienced that. And I was lucky enough to have youth pastors to when I would ask a difficult question, they would just be like, I don't know.
That's great.
Instead of, well, you shouldn't ask those questions.
Oh, that's so good. Because it's all like all Christians are Bible students. Right. It's like we're all learning this together. And I love that. I love that. Yeah. I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh,
which is like kind of the opposite of that.
Well, it's funny because, like I kind of have a similar experience. Like there's a lot of like bad agents, obviously.
Yeah.
In any kind of like organizational religion like that. But I also, for the most part, like a lot of really good non-judgmental people, which Jehovah's like that is a cult. Just I'm qualified 100%. To say that is a cult. But I mean, it's also like a lot of really well-intentioned people, like like we knocked on people's doors every Saturday, and that's because we were trying to save people's eternal lives, and that's like, there's a lot of like, it's not, there's a lot of problems too, but I got lost in the weeds there. But basically I was just saying, I also like got to experience Christianity from, without a lot of the corruption as well. That's also shaped, while it's evolved, that's also shaped my own like faith or understanding.
And when we did like, because I did go on a couple mission trips, and a lot of mission trips are not really with the best outcome, I would say. It's usually going around preaching and stuff to like and stuff like that. And the mission trips that I went on were very different from, and then this just goes back to like the type of church, that I was raised in, was like, we built a school. We went to New Orleans and we built a school in Nicaragua. And then one year we went to New Orleans and we spent 2 weeks literally like renovating houses and tearing down dry rot and stuff like that. And there was no, I don't remember any preaching. I don't remember any door-to-door stuff.
I
It
love
was
that.
like, wake up at 6, we got to go do this thing.
You will know them by their works.
Yes, get your boots on, we're going to work.
Yeah.
You know.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
See, that is what Christianity is, right?
Mhm.
And it's like that's my frustration with a lot of Christians, is like I don't know. At this point, I would probably consider myself a Christian, but like for a long period of time, I didn't. And it's frustrating talking to a Christian that I know more like it's like have you read the Bible?
Right.
Like it seems like 95% of Christians haven't read the Bible,
Mhm.
which is not, obviously like when you go like to third world countries, it's like it's about, I'm not trying to gatekeep Christianity and say you must have read the Bible,
Mhm.
right? But it's like you go to these places where they like maybe don't have a Bible in their native language, or like they're learning to read because they're trying to study the Bible.
Mhm.
And it's like, are you making an effort? Like,
Right.
are you trying to, and it's like, obviously there's a lot of Christianity where that's not the case. It's very like pageantry and just,
Mhm.
you know, um, but that's always been my frustration with organized religion is among other things is like, y'all know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like you don't understand the Bible.
Yeah.
You know?
And even then, you have to understand, at least in my opinion, that the Bible is more or less, in a lot of ways, a social construct.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in there. Now, I'm going to put it this way. Sorry, Mom. No, actually, I've said this to my mom, and she said, I've never thought about that way. Let's take a book specifically like Leviticus that talks a lot about like, oh, if you got a wet dream, you got to go do all these things, right? Or, anything to do with sexuality, period, right? I have had this opinion that there are some books in the Bible that were twisted by a priest who wasn't getting any and decided if I can't get any, I'm going to make it a sin.
That's blasphemy, sir. You're
Sure.
a blasphemer. How dare you crucify this man?
And that was just like when people in power who want power find something that they cannot get to the degree that they want to get it, they're going to make sure nobody else can get it without feeling that same shitty feeling.
That is fucking brilliant. I've never heard that before. I've never thought about that. That's very interesting.
It's a loose opinion, but I truly, because when I identify as Christian, the actual definition of Christian is Christ follower. Now, I believe that Jesus was a person who lived, and I believe in his teachings. I do not believe in a lot of other aspects of the Bible, personally.
Yeah, you're not a fundamentalist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No. And that, I mean, that's essentially it. Is just that I do believe Jesus was divine. I'm not. I believe that there's a lot going on out there that I can't comprehend.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very open to the belief that Jesus was divine.
Yeah.
And to me, all of the little tedious rules and stuff in the Bible, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because like I have a similar theory to yours that I always thought about. And my theory was like a lot of the, like you said, a lot of the tedious rules, maybe back then in their time period, they were actually helpful to have those rules.
There's plenty of examples where that's true.
But that they don't necessarily apply now. And that's the thing
Right.
people don't seem to understand. Like I know they have like tedious rules about like there's certain meats you can't eat or whatever.
Yeah,
Most
which
people don't
makes
even
total
follow-
sense
yeah,
if you're an
totally-
Israelite. That's
Oh,
like
no. But
yeah.
even back then, it makes total sense if like if you live in a society that doesn't have refrigeration or they're not as clean or they're not as like this or that.
Yeah.
Eating these type of meats would actually lead to like more disease and
Yeah,
like problems and
absolutely.
stuff.
Totally would. Yes.
Or like maybe like what's another example? Like Bible telling you, hey, you need to go out and overpopulate or like spread your seed or whatever. Yeah, that makes sense back then when there were like a lot less people. But maybe that's not something that we have to follow now that we're
Right.
getting more and more like.
And that is one of my other that actually goes into like another opinion I have about a lot of Christians, I would say conservative Christians, is in Christianity, at least in the church, we were taught that the Bible is a living thing. And I think the biggest mistake that a lot of Christians have made today is putting God and the Bible in a box to where they know what God's thinking. They know what God wants. They know what God thinks. No, you don't.
You don't know shit.
You don't know shit. If you think that you can determine what God expects of us and thinks of us, then you are undermining that the Bible and the teachings of God are a living thing. And it's a little ironic to why I said that I do believe that there are things in the Bible that are true. I just also believe that there's things that are not. And I think it's a little convoluted. But a lot of Christians put God in a box and just say, oh, this is it. And I know that this is it.
And we can't progress from that.
Right. And that's total bull. It's like,
I fall into this trap too still, where it's like, I'm like, oh, y'all don't know shit about the Bible, but like I do. I fall into that trap sometimes. I'm finally I think I'm getting over it, but like, but like I feel really confident about my understanding of Scripture, which is part of that understanding is that I don't understand this thing, but I do understand things about it, right? Like a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to bring it back to you were talking about the definition of a Christian.
Yeah.
It's like it's a follower of Christ, like trying to imitate that lifestyle, that behavior. And something whenever I talk to people about it, if I'm, like gonna define whether or not I'm a Christian, usually what I'll say is I hope so. Because that's, easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, not always. I'm not always being a Christian,
Sure.
And I think that's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I've asked this question of people that I know that are like pretty conservative Christians. Only a couple people I've asked this question, or it's not even really a question. It is a question. If your only reason for doing what the Bible or what Jesus says you should do, if your only reason for doing that is fear of going to hell, how good of a person are you?
I thought it was a rhetorical question.
It is a rhetorical question.
I'm with you.
Yeah, no. I was just letting it sink here.
Okay. I was like, oh, do I answer?
Because Christians say, well, the Bible says this, God says this, God says that. And it's like, shouldn't you just be that way? Because if your only reason for loving your neighbor is because the Bible supposedly says if you don't, you'll go to hell, if that's your only reason for doing that, you have a lot of work to do.
I mean, you're just playing a game.
Exactly.
You're playing a game. You're not stopping to think, okay, maybe there's a reason. There's a reason why God is telling me not to steal. It's not because the consequence is hell. It's because I have to stop and think, when I steal from someone, I'm depriving someone else of something and I'm hurting them.
Yes.
That's the core message that you need to like focus on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, and then when you realize that, you realize, okay, maybe not all forms of stealing are completely bad. Like, what if you steal? There's like a difference between stealing from like a corporation versus like another person that's more personal.
I completely agree.
Because you realize now the harm is like you're harming another personal being or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I can't remember the exact book. It's been a minute since I pinpointed it when I read it, but there's a chapter in the book that is titled the love chapter. And part of it says, you can have faith that moves mountains. You can prophesy and all this stuff. But if you don't have love, there is no place in the kingdom of heaven for you. And it just means that like you can follow all the rules. It blatantly says in the Bible, you can follow all the rules. but if you don't have love in your heart, you get nothing.
Yeah.
And that is so lost, I think,
Yeah.
in the Christian community.
Oh, for sure, man. That's yeah. It's it's nice talking to people about this kind of stuff because it's like it is not obvious to a lot of people what yeah. Like you were talking earlier about it being a living document. Like Jesus talks about that in the Gospels where the Bible he's talking about the Torah.
Mhm.
The Torah is the living word of God. And I don't think a lot of Christians really stop to think about what that means.
Yeah.
What do you, and it's like, it's not a metaphor. This thing is alive.
Mhm.
Like it's a magical artifact. It's that you can communicate with. And like the ancient Israelites were really serious about this. The word Torah means binding. That's the Hebrew word for binding, because they, in the Talmud, there's a story about this rabbi making a golem. He put the tetragrammaton on its tongue and it came to life and defended the village. The ancient Israelites were very serious about a type of storytelling. It's called a chiasm, where you can bind a spirit to a story. And what's really crazy about this is this was done word of mouth before it was ever written down.
Oh, wow.
So it's not tied to a physical object, it's tied to a concept. But here, so the Old Testament is told in a specific pattern. And it's like, I don't understand this part. It's like, yeah, because it's like, this is like looking at a circuit board. Like you're putting together a thing. It's not, there's so many layers to it. But
Yeah.
but a big part of this is a very, very much so an oversimplification. And if this is something that's fascinating, you should look into it more. But part of a chiasm is it starts where it ends and makes a circle. And that was really important to containing the spirit. So that's what Jesus is talking about when he says it's the living word of God. It's like, no, guys, this isn't a metaphor. Like this thing is alive.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, I love that.
it's crazy, dude.
I love that.
And it's like, yeah, if you that's why I'm like, yo, if you're a Christian, read the Bible because
Yeah.
it's like, dude, this isn't, it's like, no, like seriously, like pick this up and it's like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
It's not even about what you're reading so much as getting possessed by the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like there's a thing called bibliomancy. It's where it's like you open the Bible to a random page and that's pertinent to what, like everyone's got a story like that.
Yeah.
It's like I was gonna kill myself. I went in, I was down on my luck, checked into a hotel and there was a Bible in the drawer and I picked it up and the first thing I saw totally turned my life around. It's like that happens all the time. Anyway, I'm going in the weeds here.
No,
but,
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think happens after we die?
I have no idea. I'm not even gonna act like I have any idea. But that is a product of that feeling is a product of the type of Christianity that I was raised in. Is we have these hopes, but we don't really know. And I feel like not really knowing is so motivating to living a good life, like being a good person. Because if
or
you,
a real good person. Yeah,
Yeah.
not someone playing a game.
Because if you think that there's some big shiny reward at the end of the road for doing all these good things, like then you're like you said, you're going to be playing a game. But if you don't know what happens, then you're just kind of like, well, it's anybody's guess. So I should probably just live this life being a decent person because it might be the only life I have.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and this is another really, really hard topic for a lot of conservative Christians, is, and I think this way, I think about this mainly when I see like Facebook posts from people that, I grew up with but are no longer associated with, is you can play this game, right? And you can say all the things, you can do all the things, but you have to understand that if Judgment Day is real, you are not going to be judged by the things you did. You are going to be judged by your heart. And you are going to be judged by the thoughts and the feelings that you kept to yourself. And that requires, that type of growth requires a lot of inner healing and introspectivism, of just being like, okay, I have a problem with the way that I think about this situation. And I need to figure out how to grow. Because you can put on a facade, you can act like you're this wonderful rule follower. But if you believe that God is everything that you say he is, he's gonna know who you really are when you get to those pearly gates. You know what I mean? So it's a really hard conversation to have with conservative Christians. You know?
Yeah, because like hypothetically, this type of person who is playing a game, okay, what are they going to do once they're there? And and they were just playing a game, and now you're there. Now you don't have to. Like what God wants someone like that in heaven when he knows once they're here and they're no longer have to follow rules because they already got the reward. What kind of person are they going to be in heaven?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think when you were saying that, I was thinking it goes both ways too, because it's like you can go through the motions, but if you're like if you don't have love in your heart, like it doesn't matter. But the opposite's true too. You can be a well-intentioned person. Sorry, what? Yeah, that'd be great. But you can be like a well-intentioned person that doesn't do anything also, right? It's like faith without works is dead. So it's like you need both of these things. You can't just, I guess what I'm saying is if you're a really good person, then you'll try and make a difference in the world. It's something I get into with my mom sometimes. Like, fortunately, I have a good relationship with my parents, and me and my mom talk theology, which is really cool. But something that irritates me about some types of Christianity is like, don't worry about it. God has a plan. Is like, put your faith in, throw your burden onto God. Don't worry about it. It's like, that is the wrong takeaway.
It is.
Because you're talking about following rules. It's like, who was not a rule follower? Jesus.
Right. Absolutely. John the Baptist didn't give a fuck.
And they got him killed.
I look up to John the Baptist so much. Because you're totally right. Like, they literally, especially Jesus, was in a society that was trying to ridicule him for what he was doing. And he was like, but no, I completely agree.
He was a rule breaker. And he was punk rock. He was so punk.
He was, And to a degree, I have kind of a different philosophy with the whole burden thing. Like, lay your burdens at God's feet, or however people like to put it. Anytime I'm going through a season in my life where it feels like, this is really difficult, instead of being like, you know what, you're going to take care of it, I think, okay, you are setting me up in a good way. You're like, okay, you're giving me this because I can handle it, and I'm going to learn something. So I've not gone through things that have left any real intense trauma on me or anything, but I have gone through, especially living in Nashville, times where I'm like, man, am I going to make it here? Like, just with my career, and just deciding in the moment, okay, I'm going to learn. Thank you. just deciding in the moment, okay, this is going to teach me something and I got to be ready to receive it, as opposed to this sucks. I don't want to deal with it. I'm going to pray about it and God will take care of it. Instead of God will take care of it, it's God knows I can handle this, so I'm going to find a lesson. So, and that's carried me so much through life, you know, to be, you know, I try to be a super humble person, but I am smart enough to feel pride in what I do for a living, how long I've done it in this city. You know, like I don't know if I've told either of you this, like the whole time I've lived in Nashville, I work on guitars for a living.
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I worked with Gibson for a decade in the repair and restoration department. I've done repairs for everybody from Taylor Swift, Jack White, Muse, Mastodon. You know, I've done repairs for all these people. And I worked my ass off because there were a lot of times in my life where I was in a position where I felt like, oh, I could just go home. But then instead of being like, oh, I'm just going to go home and like lay all these burdens at the feet of God, I decided, okay, I have to machete my way through this path because God knows that I can. And God knows that I'm going to learn something. And God knows that I'm going to come out on the other end being like, well, I got that under my belt.
Yeah.
So the next thing I'm going to be a little more prepared for, you know. And I try to impress that on a lot of people I meet that are struggling to find their place, especially in this city. It's a hard city to find your place in, you know, is just that everything is going to make you stronger.
Yeah.
And everything's going to make you smarter. And if you can just figure out your way through this maze of jobs and careers and learning how to support yourself financially, you know, like you'll find it if you just keep your eyes set on, I'm going to learn something from this.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever I learn from this is going to make me level up.
I think I'm seeing how the way I view it is also influenced by how I was raised, hearing the way you describe it and how you got there. Because where I wouldn't even say like I'm pushing back on anything you're saying, because I totally agree with you. But the way I think about it is like Jehovah's Witnesses kind of think they're better than all other Christians, you know, because they're like we're doing it, like we're doing the thing, right? And it's like I'm annoyingly still like that sometimes, where it's like I know better than the Christians, you know.
I feel the same way sometimes.
It's tough, bro. It's tough because it's like you do know that, like, you know, maybe don't let that blind you from learning, but you do. You know a lot better than these dumbasses out here. Anyway, but also, I got that, like, I've got that Jesus complex where it's like, I have to fix it.
Yeah.
I have to, and it's like, my mom's kind of, you know, my mom's like an evangelizer. She goes and knocks on people's doors, but she's also like, it's okay. Like, God has a plan. It's like, and I'm like, yes, but we are the plan. The return of Christ, at least in my interpretation, this is not everyone's view on it, but like the return of Christ is a spiritual one in the hearts of people, in my opinion. That's my interpretation of Revelation, is that he's not gonna come down literally on a horse. Like it's a spirit to embody. And that requires us to get off our asses and do something, right? And my mental health is better than it's been, you know, ever in my life. Like I'm doing all right now. But like there have been times in my life where I'm like, we need to have radical intervention in, I mean, it's easy to feel that way. Like if you look at what's going on in the news right now, is like, okay, not only our government, but like all world governments are controlled by pedophiles. It's like, what are we doing? What
Yeah.
There's billions of us and few of them. It's easy to get down that road. But what stops me is good friends being like, yeah, realistically, you're not going to be able to accomplish that. And just like let's logically think this through. What you can do is talk to people about it. So all that to say, like these kind of conversations are really good for my mental health.
Good.
Right.
Good.
Like I appreciate talking to you about it because and you too, because you grew up Catholic, like Spanish Catholic, which is like a cultural thing too.
Yeah.
And
much cooler than Protestant.
I mean,
American.
aesthetically, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
we're actually just talking about that, how Catholics have the coolest swag, like all the
Oh, yeah.
best
Especially
iconography.
Spanish Catholics. So
Yeah.
much cooler. Yeah. We're very whitewashed over here.
Yeah. Do you have any, when I say ghost stories, do you have any like paranormal experiences?
Okay, so not so much directly, but I grew up in a house that my parents still live in that was built in the 1800s. Big brick house. It was built for one of the founders of the township that I grew up in. And supposedly, as far as I know, somebody died in that house, right? And my brother and I there were a lot of times we had nightmares. A couple of us would sleepwalk every once in a while. My brother would see a dog a lot, a poodle, a white dog. But the most specific thing that I remember in that house, and I was probably in high school, I was standing in the kitchen with my mom, and the upstairs bathroom is directly above the kitchen. And something audibly went boom and fell on the floor in the bathroom, like thud. And my mom was like, "Oh, could you go see what that was?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I go upstairs, and there's nothing on the floor in the bathroom, right? There was one thing that was eventually explained, was the bedroom that I grew up in, that I lived in. I could hear creaking coming down the hall and through my doorway to the foot of my bed. Later on, realized that the water heater at the foot of my bed had a pipe that ran down the hallway. But yeah, but there were people that would stop and take photos of our house and stuff like that, because for a very short time, and a lot of the stories about things that happened in my area have been taken down off the internet. There's a lot of stuff I found in high school that you can no longer find.
Whoa, weird. Okay.
Right. One specifically, there's this town about 15 minutes east of where I grew up called Angola. And Angola, the center of Angola, has this roundabout around this thing called the Mound. And there's like some monumental stuff, statues and stuff built on it. But supposedly at one point it was where they would burn witches. Now, you used to be able to read about that on the internet. You no longer can find it.
Where was this?
Angola, Indiana.
It's going to lower our property value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And these were all things that, like, when we were all in high school, there was a lot of stuff, on the internet that wasn't nearly as filtered as it is now. You could find independent stories and stuff that wasn't flagged or anything like that. And I could find these stories at the time. And there was my favorite one, though. And I visited this place because it's really close to my parents' house. There's a road really close to my parents' house called Bloody Run. And Bloody Run is a single lane dirt road that goes to a dead end. And there are two stories about Bloody Run. One is, it was either John Dillinger or Al Capone, and I always get this one mixed up. I'm going to say Dillinger because I believe there was a bar restaurant in another township called Dillinger's that eventually They had to change the name. But let's say, for the sake of the story, it was John Dillinger. He used to travel between Chicago and Detroit. And when he would pass through Indiana, Bloody Run was enough out of the way for him to like go down this dirt road, and there was a swamp on either side of the dirt road, and he would dump bodies in the swamp.
Oh.
So when you get to the end of the dirt road, it's a little turnaround, just a little gravel circle, right? And I'd heard stories from other people that the KKK used to meet there as early as, or as recently as the early 2000s.
Whoa.
And there was a tree that has been cut down where they did lynching. And there was a specific branch that they used to where the story was that if you parked your car under the branch and you turned your car off, you could hear feet kicking your roof like somebody was hanging above you. Now that tree's been cut down.
But was it because of the stories, or
I don't know.
or that's part of the
But that's part of
like what they're hiding, or
that's
like
part of the thing is that like that tree was cut down and like you can see the stump, it's right there. But yeah, that was kind of the story of that. And I've been back there a couple times at night with, and
with friends, of course.
And it is eerie because as you're driving down the dirt road, the terrifying thing about it is that it's a single lane dirt road with swamp on either side. So if you get to the end, and I had a friend tell me that his sister and her boyfriend, one time when I would have been in middle school, his sister, older sister, and her boyfriend were driving down Bloody Run doing the spooky road, and they drove up on a KKK meeting. And the problem is that it is a single lane dirt road, and they had to drive in reverse all the way back to the road. Now, true or not, I love the story.
Great story, either way.
Terrifying. But the thing that I remember the most about driving back that dirt road, and I have not been able to find it in recent years because, like I said, all this stuff has been taken down off the internet.
Weird.
You used
Can't
to
even fucking find it now.
You could find a map. There used to be a map that showed you exactly where the dirt road is. It's all gone. You can't find it. When you drive back that dirt road, it's the weirdest thing. All the trees that are growing in the swamp, as you're driving, it feels like they're all leaning inwards. As you're driving down, they're all at an angle inwards, almost forming this triangle as you're driving back.
What the
And then
fuck?
you get back and you can see on the right side the stump where the tree was, and the branch would have come out over the clearing where they would.
Dude, that sounds fucking crazy.
It is. It's
oh my
terrifying.
God. I kind of want to go. I want to find it.
Northern Indiana,
We're gonna
up
go
there.
find Bloody Run.
Yeah, good luck.
So Bloody Run is one of my favorite, literally a couple miles from my parents' house. It's one of my favorite.
Wow.
I've been back there 3 times, always with a friend. Be like, I gotta show you something.
You should go alone, Alex.
Yeah.
Never heard from again. I think it's in another dimension now. Like you can't even find it. Like it's not on this plane of existence
The last
anymore.
time I went to look for it, I looked really hard with a friend. And having been there 3 times,
Yeah.
I thought I knew exactly where it was.
Dude, this is one of the wildest stories I've heard.
Good. I'm glad.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's usually like, oh, I heard something downstairs when I was sleeping, or
Right. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Seth, thanks so much for joining, man.
Oh, so happy. So happy to be here.
Yeah, maybe we could do more of these as you release songs, or if you got any.
There will be more.
You got any shows coming up?
No shows yet. They will be announced when they come up. We're kind of just going slow and steady, with it being to us, and I will, announce, the people that are playing with me are people that I would say in our community, people know very well. And I kind of want to do like a fun little like introduction of like, hey, this is who's playing with us when the time comes. But it being an art project as opposed to something commercial, it is something that, we're taking slow and doing it right, as opposed to just vomiting it out. So all in good time, it'll all come out, and I think hopefully it will snowball and catch some traction with some people.
Well, hell yeah, man. Check out Ironwood by Raton Lavort. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Yeah, and stay tuned for more music coming out, eventual EP.
Oh, give the audience like what's the translation to the band?
Oh, Raton Lever is it's essentially French for raccoon. It essentially means either rat who washes or rodent who washes, rodent who cleans. Because raccoons, they clean their food.
Hell yeah.
That is definitely what a raccoon is. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Great.
and we'll see you next week.